After the Revolutionary War, the people of America had their independence and they had the Articles of Confederation. Many felt that it was all they needed.
However, there were those who felt the Articles of Confederation weren't working for the new nation. The states often ignored the federal government when it needed their help.
America needed a stronger central government, and so in 1787, a grand convention was organized. The purpose was to improve the existing form of government.
Today, we call it the Constitutional Convention.
Just one moment. I'm Patrick Henry, and I have something to say. I signed the Declaration of Independence, and I made a famous speech in which I said, "Give me liberty or give me death. But don't give me this nonsense about revising the Articles of Confederation. I smell a rat. I refuse to attend the convention."
I'm Thomas Jefferson, and I too have something to say. I'm unable to attend the Grand Convention as well. I'm on diplomatic duty in France. It's a shame, really. I had an active role in forming the Declaration of Independence. If I was at the convention, I'd probably suggest that we include something about the separation of church and state. As it stands, I simply put my thoughts on that subject in letters to friends.
A number of important men were involved in the convention.
Some are sick or have sick family members. Others have personal or professional business to handle.
And some, like Patrick Henry, didn't believe that the Articles of Confederation needed work.
The convention began on May 25, 1787. 55 delegates were sent to Philadelphia to represent the 13 original states. It was a long, hot summer.
Gentlemen, let me remind you of these rules. What happens in the stays within these walls. Don't talk about it. Don't even write home about it. The doors in this room stay locked, and the windows stay shut. And keep an eye on Ben Franklin, or he talks too much. No offense.
None taken.
The chair recognizes James Madison.
Thank you, General Washington. I know that William J. Jackson is the official secretary of this convention, but I'm taking notes as well. I feel it's my duty since I was leading the advocate for assembling this convention. Besides, I'm not yet married, so I don't have a wife to write home to, as do many of my esteemed colleagues. So I shall be content to take notes every day for as long as it takes.
It better not take too much longer. It's hot in here. We have a right to fresh air. I make a mention that we open the windows and let the breeze flow through. Otherwise, I might have to hurt somebody.
I second that motion.
The chair does not recognize George Mason or Rufus King, and the motion is not carried. Now let's proceed with business at hand. Governor Randolph, would you please explain how the Virginia Plan works?
The Virginia plan for the government works like this. You see the three branches of the government? This is the executive branch. This branch is in charge of running the government.
Now there's an area I'd like to serve someday.
Over here, we have a legislative branch. The branch makes the country's laws. It will be made of the House, Representatives, and the Senate. Together, they will be called the Congress.
The federal government will make laws. I don't agree with that. I believe each state has the right to make its own laws. As a matter of fact, I've prepared a speech on the subject of state rights.
Mr. Martin, we're well aware of all your your stance on states' rights. Can you assure us that your speech will not take up the better part of 2 days?
Do you have a problem with 2 days long speeches?
Yes, it's too hot stuff in here to be forced to sit here longer boring speeches. We have our individual rights, you know.
You could do what I do, George. Sleep through the boring parts.
Fellow delegates, it's not the time. Please take your seats and allow Governor Randolph to consider.
Thank you, General. This represents the judicial branch. It will be made at the federal courts and headed by the Supreme Court. This branch will make sure that our laws are constitutional. It will also make sure our laws are properly obeyed.
Excuse me, sir, but I was under the impression that we called here to fix the problems with the Articles of Confederation. What you seem to be offering is entirely new form of government.
You are very astute, Mr. Sherman. I am, in fact, advocating a national government.
Outrageous. We send here to revise the Articles of Confederation, not destroy them.
I, for one, think this is an excellent plan. I will create a immunity among the states, and I will support it.
Much time was spent arguing for and against a new national government. Many fears surfaced. Who exactly was going to run the government? Who would it be? Would it be run like a monarchy? Or on the other hand, would the common people be given too much power? Then there were other concerns.
What about small states? I represent Massachusetts. Our national government be as interested in our wishes as it is in the wishes of larger states, or will it be ignored?
Connecticut shares Mr. King's concern.
Governor, you've given us all something to vote. I believe the regime plan has merit. However, it has been a long day. This meeting is adjourned until morning.
Although the framers of the Constitution took great pains to avoid leaking information to the public, they couldn't stop rumors from spreading.
Martha, did you see Dr. Franklin when he arrived at the convention?
No? Why?
He was carried in a Chinese sedan chair by 4 prisoners from jail. Who do you think he is, the King of Siam?
You don't understand because you're still young, Elizabeth. Dr. Franklin is 81 years old. Carriage rides are painful to old bones. Have you heard the latest gossip?
I don't think so. What is it?
The convention is going to ask the second son of King George III to become the King of America.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
What they need is a convention and some founding mothers to set those founding fathers straight. How could they dream of starting another monarchy after we went through with King George?
It's a terrible shame, that's the truth.
Hey, that's not true. We're not going to ask anyone to be the King of America. Wait, do you hear me? Wait.
The Constitutional Convention continued. The delegates resumed their discussion. Governor Randolph assured the men that the 3 separate branches of government would share power equally. One could not overpower the other.
This was called the system of checks and balances. Each branch was balanced by the other 2. Each branch could check the power of the others by granting or denying permission to do certain things.
For instance, Congress has the power to enact laws.
The president has the power to veto or reject laws.
However, Congress can overturn a veto if enough members vote to do so.
Speaking of presidents, delegates have decided that the country should be led by one person, a president, with a vice president who can take over if the president is somehow unable to serve.
Now they must decide how to choose a president, whether to pay the president or how long he can hold office.
I make a motion that the President of the United States serve without pay. After all, General Washington led our army for 8 years without a salary. Service to our country should be based on patriotism.
You can't count on patriotism alone to draw a right man to office. Some truly capable candidates couldn't afford to work without pay.
I propose that our president serve a long term, perhaps a lifelong term. If we go to short terms, the office of presidents, we will have a long ex-president wandering around like ghosts grimming up the word.
I understand your concern, Alexander. However, we wouldn't want to be stuck with a bad president. That would be like being stuck with a bad king. The only way we could remove him from office would be to shoot him.
This has been a productive meeting so far. The Assembly of Delegates has agreed to pay the President a salary from the U.S. Treasury. He will serve a term of 4 years. If necessary, he can be removed from office by being impeached by Congress. We'll continue to discuss this meeting, other ideas presented for consideration before we take a vote.
We need to talk about state rights.
Sherman is right. If small states can at least have one equal vote in the Senate, why bother being a part of this new country?
I'd like to propose the Connecticut Compromise. With my plan, votes in the House of Representatives would be based on the number of people living in the state, but votes in the Senate would be equal no matter the size of the state. Say every state elects 2 senators.
I don't like that at all. Larger states should have more representation.
I think the
quick promise is a good idea. I can support that.
I would be happy to chair a committee to work out the details of setting the number of representatives each state should have.
I tell you that the Connecticut compromise is a bad idea.
But what about the individual rights? We talk of federal rights and states' rights. What about the rights of the people? I fear they're going to be trampled.
Gentlemen, I have a suggestion to make. Before we come to blows, let's ask a minister to come and open each session with a prayer.
We can do that. If the word got out, we needed prayer. The people would believe our convention was in dire trouble.
It is in dire trouble.
Gentlemen, it has been brought to my attention that we have no money with which to pay the expenses of a minister. As you all well know, we're each here on our own dollar.
It took a lot of work, but on September 17, 1787, the new U.S. Constitution was finished. Ben Franklin admitted that it was not perfect, but then neither was he.
The Constitution was ready for signing. The 39 of the delegates signed it. 3 refused. 2 of them being Edmund Randolph, who had represented the Virginia plan, and George Mason, an ardent supporter of individual rights. 13 others, including Luther Martin, had already left the convention.
The convention adjourned to celebrate at Philadelphia City Tavern.
The new Constitution was still needed to be voted on by delegates from each state. They would occur later. The first 10 amendments of the U.S. Constitution, known as the Bill of Rights, were ratified in 1791. This event must have pleased George Mason. He had not signed the Constitution because to him it did not seem to protect individual rights.
Now we present to you the preamble of the United States Constitution.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America.
Yeah.
And that's the show!
After the Revolutionary War, the people of America had their independence, and they had the Articles of Confederation. Many felt that was all they needed.
However, there were those who felt the Articles of Confederation weren't working for the new nation. The states often ignored the federal government when it needed their help.
America needed a stronger central government, and so in 1787, a grand convention was organized. Their purpose was to improve the existing form of government.
Today, we call it the Constitutional Convention.
Just one moment. I'm Patrick Henry, and I have something to say. I signed the Declaration of Independence, and I made a famous speech saying, "Give me liberty or give me death." But I don't give this nonsense about revising the Articles of Confederation. I smell a rat. I refuse to attend the convention.
I am Thomas Jefferson, and I have too something to say. I am unable to attend the Grand Convention as well. I am a diplomatic duty in France. It is a shame, really. I had an active role in forming the Declaration of Independence. I was vision. I probably suggest that we include something about the separation of the church and state. As it stands, I'll simply put my thoughts on the subject in later prints.
Men weren't involved in the convention.
Some were sick or had sick family members. Others had personal or professional business to handle.
And some, like Patrick Henry, didn't believe that the Articles of Confederation needed work.
The convention began on May 25th, 1787. 55 delegates were sent to Philadelphia to represent the 13 original states. It was a long, hot summer.
can stay within these walls. Don't talk about it. Don't even write at home about it. The doors to this room stay locked, and the windows will stay shut. And keep an eye on Ben Franklin when he's out and about. He talks too much.
None taken.
No offense. The chair recognizes James Madison.
Thank you, General Washington. I know that William Jackson, is the official secretary of this convention, but I'm taking notes as well. I feel it is my duty since I was leading advocate for assembling this convention. Besides, I'm not yet married, so I don't have a wife to write home to, as do many of my esteemed colleagues. So I shall be content to take notes every day for as long as it takes.
I had better not take too much longer. It's hot in here. We have the right to fresh air. I make a motion that we should open the windows and let the breeze flow through. Otherwise, I might have to hurt somebody.
I second that motion.
The chairs do not recognize George Mason or Refuse King, and the motion is not carried. Now let's proceed with the business at hand. Governor Randolph, who you please explain how the Virginia plan works.
Virginia.
The Virginia plan for the government works like this. You see the three main branches of the government. This is the executive branch. This branch is in charge of running the government.
Paulson.
Area where I'd like to serve someday.
Over here we have the legislative branch. This branch makes the country's laws. It will be made up of the House of Representatives and the Senate. Together they will be called Congress.
The federal government will make laws. I don't agree with that. I believe each state has the right to make their own laws. As a matter of fact, I have prepared a speech on the sub of states' rights.
Mr. Martin, we are well aware of your stance on the states' rights. Can you assure us that your speech will not take up the better part of 2 days?
Do you have a problem with 2 days longer speech?
Yes! It is too hot and stuffy in here, and I am forced to sit through these long, boring speeches. We have our individual rights, you know.
You can do what I do, George. Sleep through the boring parts.
My fellow delegates, now is not the time. Please take your seats and allow Governor Randolph to continue.
Thank you, Judges. This represents the judicial branch. It will be made up of the federal courts and headed by a Supreme Court. This branch will make sure that our laws are constitutional. It will also make sure our laws are properly obeyed.
Excuse me, sir, but I was under the impression that we were called here to fix the problems of the Article of Confederation. What you seem to be doing is offering an entirely new form of government.
You are very astute, Mr. Chairman. I am, in fact, advocating a national government.
Outrageous! We were sent here to revise the Articles of Confederation, not destroy them!
I for one think this is an excellent plan. It will create unity among the states, and I support it.
Much time was spent arguing for and against a new national government. Many fears surfaced. Who exactly was going to run the government? Would it be run like a monarchy? On the other hand, would the common people be given too much power than other concerns?
What about small states? I represent Massachusetts. Will a national government be as interested in our wishes as it is in the wishes of the larger states? Who will be ignored?
Connecticut shares Mr. King's concerns.
Virginia plan has been heard. However, it has been a long day. This meeting is adjourned until this morning.
All right.
Although the framers of the Constitution took great pains to avoid leaking information to the public, they couldn't stop rumors from spreading.
All right, wait.
Martha, did you see Dr. Franklin when he arrived at the convention?
No, why?
He was carried in a Chinese sedan chair by 4 prisoners from jail. Who does he think he is, the King of Siam?
You don't understand because you're still young, Elizabeth. Dr. Franklin is 81 years old. Carriage rides are painful to old bones. Have you heard the latest gossip?
I don't think so. What is it?
The convention is going to ask the second son of King George III to become King of America.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
What they need is that in that convention is some founding mothers to set those founding fathers straight. How could they dream of starting another monarchy after what we went through with King George?
It's a terrible shame, and that's the truth.
Hey, that's not true. We're not going to ask anyone to be the King of America. Wait, did you hear me? Wait!
Very good.
The Constitutional Convention continued. The delegates resumed their discussion. Governor Randolph assured the men that the 3 separate branches of the government would share power equally. One cannot overthrow the other.
This was called the system of checks and balances. Each branch was balanced by the other 2. Each branch could check the power of the others by granting or denying permission to do certain things.
For instance, Congress had the power to enact laws.
The president had the power to veto or reject laws.
However, Congress can overturn a veto if enough members vote to do so.
Speaking of presidents, the delegates have decided that the country should be led by one person, a president, with a vice president who can take over if the president is somehow unable to serve.
Now they must decide how to choose a president, whether to pay the president, and how long he can hold office.
I make a motion that the President of the United States serve without pay. After all, General Washington led our army for 8 years without salary. Service to our country should be based on patriotism.
You cannot count on patriotism alone to draw the right man to the office. Some truly capable candidates could afford to work without pay.
I propose that our president serve a long term, perhaps a lifelong term. If we go for short terms for the office of president, we'll have a lot of ex-presidents wandering around like ghosts, gumming up the works.
I understand your concern, Alexander. However, we wouldn't want to be stuck with a bad president. That would be like being stuck with a bad king. The only way we could remove him from office would be to shoot him.
This has been a productive meeting so far. The Assembly delegates has agreed to pay the President a salary from the U.S. Treasury. He will begin to serve terms just for 4 years. If necessary, he can be removed from the office by being impeached by Congress. We will continue to discuss the many other ideas presented for the consideration before we take a vote.
We need to talk about states' rights.
Teachers, pardon this interruption. Faith Nesbitt, please come to the front office.
If small states can't leave an equal vote in senator, why brothers being a part of this new country?
I'd like to propose the Connecticut Compromise. With my plan, votes in the House of Representatives would be based on the number of people living in the state, but votes in the Senate would be equal no matter the size of the state. Say every time the state selects 2 senators.
I don't like that at all. Larger states should have more representation.
I think Connecticut Compromise is a good idea. I support that.
I would be happy to chair a committee to work out the details of setting the number of representatives each state should have.
I'll tell you that the Connecticut Compromise is a bad idea.
What about the individual rights? We talk of federal rights and state rights. What about the rights of the people? I fear they're going to be trampled.
Gentlemen, I have a suggestion to make. Before we come to blows, let's ask the minister to come and open each session with a prayer.
We can't do that. If word got out that we needed prayer, the people would believe our convention was dire trouble.
It is in dire trouble.
Gentlemen, it has been brought to my attention that we have no money with which to pay the expenses of a minister. As we all know, we are each here on our own dollar.
It took a lot of work, but on September 17th, 1787, the new U.S. Constitution was finished. Benjamin Franklin admitted that it was not perfect, but then neither was he.
The Constitution was ready for signing. 39 of the delegates signed it. 3 refused. 2 of them being Edmund Randolph, who represented the Virginia Plan, and George Mason, an ardent supporter of an individual right. 13 others, including Luther Martin, had already left the convention.
The convention adjourned to celebrate at the Philadelphia City Tavern.
The new Constitution would need to be voted on by delegates from each state. That would occur later. The first 10 amendments to the U.S. Constitution, known as the Bill of Rights, were ratified in 1791. This event must have been pleased by George Mason. He had not signed the Constitution because to him it had not seemed to protect individual rights.
Now, we present you to the preamble of the United States Constitution.
We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty for ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America.
Nicely done.
Yeah.